Hey, what's going on? My name is Adam McInnis. I'm a producer and songwriter, and I was one of the co-writers and co-producers of Aespa's hit song called Next Level. And today I'll be breaking down Aespa's new song called Savage. So for anyone who's been to the channel before, you know what I do. I do in-depth breakdowns of songs, and we'll throw in some ideas about the music videos, but a lot of it's about the song creations, the production, the mixing, the lyric and melody, the content, everything that's going into the song of what makes them hit songs. And I'm excited to check out Aespa's because I think they're super talented and just love to see what they're doing because they always bring something interesting. So today, let's get into it without further ado. It's Aespa's song Savage. Already with that snake.
Oh my gosh, don't you know I'm a savage? I'm a killer, 널 깨라. 아직도 가리고 환각을 펼치 no fella. We holla, 두렵지 않아 no 희주하라. 날 믿어 너리 fake on me. 준비가 안 된 무대로 뭘 하나 fake on me. 다 everybody 막 같은 me. 수치를 느끼게 멘탈을 흔들어 놔. 싸늘한 관점 무너져 I can't 못하면 say no. 두고 봐난 좀 savage 너의 dirty한 play 너는 두고 볼 수 없어 나를 무너뜨리고 싶은 내 환각들이 점점 너를 구축할 이유가 돼.
Okay, before I get into the first chorus, I always stop it there so I can break down what's happening in the song leading up to it. So, in most songs, especially when you're talking about songs that go on the radio, there's going to be a certain level of structure that goes into it just to help the listeners kind of follow along. And the first thing is, how do we grab attention in the first 8 seconds? That's very, very important. So let's just check out this song structure by structure, each piece by piece, and let's dig into all the cool things they might have going on. One thing I already know is going on from listening to this is there's that cool sound happening in this almost metallic industrial bass line thing happening. Obviously, the lyric, or I should say, the melodic structures of the raps are cool, but we'll get into that. But let's see what's happening from the very beginning. So there you go. Very beginning, it's a boom, and then to keep a little bit of tension and what's like mysteriousness. And that sound.
Oh my gosh, don't you know I'm a savage?
All right, so she goes, "Oh my gosh, don't you know I'm a savage?" So that's to initiate the title of the song, so you can know it in the very first line. But the cool thing of how they did it is the vocal processing. If you really listen deeply, you'll hear that's not just one vocal. It's one vocal that has either a lower octave that's been affected, or it's using harmonics around the vocal to make it sound unique. So really try to listen deep to how she's saying, "Oh my gosh, don't you know I'm a savage?"
Oh my gosh, don't you know I'm a savage?
You hear
I'm
that?
a killer, 널 깨라.
So you hear that bass, that
아직도 가리고 환각을 펼치
no.
no fella. We holla, 두렵지.
Okay, so that boom, bang, boom, bang, boom, no, boom, bang, boom, boom, bang, boom. So that's the main hook that's happening in the musical side of things. And there's a bass line that's doing something just very ominous and, kind of mysterious. So that's the main part happening in the production right now. And then the lyrical part is more of like a rapping style.
I'm a killer, 널 깨라. 아직도 가리고 환각을 펼치 no.
So if you're listening really closely, there's a lead vocal going, I'm a dinner, but lower. If you can really put on your golden ears, listen lower, you're going to hear a lower octave happening throughout pretty much most of the song right now. And if you just put your ears on, you'll start to notice that there's a lower octave just mimicking the higher vocal, giving it a certain level of presence just to fill up the sonic space so that way it doesn't sound too thin. All right. So keep listening for that lower octave and you're going to catch on to it.
We holla, 두렵지 않아 no 희주하라. 날 믿어 너리 fake on me.
Now we have some hi-hat rolls. And if you really listen closely, it's like, dun dun, ay. You're going to hear like it's not a a yell, but there's something in that when it breaks to this new section. Watch. Watch here. Right there. All right, so there's some really cool rhythmic parts going on. And if you're paying attention, certain words are being stacked. So for anyone who's new to this channel, stacks are just basically when you want to emphasize certain words, right? So someone could go, and when I do this, this just means more vocals doing the same part, but it's just to emphasize it. So I might say something dump the dump the dump the wena wa ba then is dun 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 ba da ba da ba ba. You want to emphasize certain moments just so that the listener kind of feels like the song has more presence and then goes back to being a single vocal and then more presence, then back to being a single vocal. So that's what's happening right here. I'm going to play that part again just so you can hear it, because you'll start to understand the layers of production that are put into these songs. And it's not just hop in the studio, sing a song real quick. There are very nuanced level things happening to build an experience for the listener. That ooh. Okay, cool. So when they go into this pre-chorus, which I will say, I've heard a lot in K-pop, this rapping section that's very aggressive. I've heard it also in what was the group that I listened to not too long ago? Blackpink, where the intro and the first verse will be very aggressive. The pre-chorus will have something very beautiful, melodic, and then it builds back up to something aggressive for the chorus. So I've heard this structure before. But let's hear what they're doing. So if you listen in the background of this pre-chorus, I want you to listen to the vocal that's actually going like, you know, more like a pad. Check it out. Now they're going to build up tension. Build up tension. Okay. So they have this part, get me now, get me now. Super hooky, right? Something that you can all latch onto, and it's very catchy. And notice how they do it for a certain amount of time to basically teach it to the audience. And then when they do it again, they start to add the harmony. And she's like, give me now, give me now. And that's just to add more sonic information before they go back into the second verse. So listen to that again on that back end. And that all right, cool. So now when it goes in the second verse, notice how they pull out all the drums. These drums are really cool too, what's going on. The groove is cool, the actual tones of the instruments are cool. But they pull them out when they're going into the second verse just to provide a moment of tension and release. So that way you have this thing where you got the chorus now, you have the Give Me Now, you have the I'm a Savage, and then it goes woof, and then you hear like what's going to happen next on the undertone. So notice how that gets pulled out, and then it goes in the second verse. See? Everybody look at me. I'm locked up in the glass. 난 널 잊고 싶은데 너무 끔찍하게 돼. 그런 환각들은 나를 가둬놔. I'm going 광야로. And I'll say this, if you're really paying close attention, there's a lot of interesting sounds going on in the background. Now the main thing is that boom, bang, boom, bang, boom. Obviously I'm saying it's an octave higher when they're doing it on the instruments. There's a cool drum track. But then you're hearing like pew, doo-doo-doo-doosh, and boos and eow. Very interesting things. It's almost like you would say is a video game folly happening behind the beat. Some of it's very clear to hear, and some of it has reverb and effects on it. But if you pay a lot of attention to it, you'll see it's scattered eclectically in the background.
게임인 물리적 요면 이간질 MRI로 보정
And
멀어지게 만든 회심찬 내 트릭 위공 광야로 게임인 Billboard 연합이 찍고 데미지를 내게 인정사정 볼 것 없는 punch 그것 봐 날 좀
back to the pre-chorus. Now this time there's no clapping and no drums. See? Still no claps yet. So it's a different way of approaching it. Build up tension with the drums and the vocal for this beat drop and Get Me Now. Now they have the avatars dancing with them too. That's wild. These avatars are wild. It's so interesting. You know what's so funny is it's so simple, but the that's one of those things that when you're in the studio and someone's like just ad-libbing something and they're like zip 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 and someone goes, "What was that?" And you're like, "What was what?" "That thing you just did. Zip 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 zip." "Well, what was that?" "I don't know. I just didn't know what to put there, so I felt it was cool. Zip 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 zip." And they're like, "We're keeping that." I don't know if that's what happened when the writers, kept that part, but I can see where that would happen because it happens a lot in studio sessions where you're just ad-libbing things. You don't know what's coming out. And then someone says something random like, "Depa-doop-a-da," and they're like, "What was that?" "I don't know. Keep it." So it's cool because I can still, when things tend to be unique, rhythmically catchy, and something that everyone can sing along with, they tend to be little markers that you want to keep in songs because you know that no one else in the world will most likely have that in another track. Okay, now we're into the bridge, which is like a whole different song. Listen to the bass line in this part. So this is like almost going into the interesting, I don't even know what to call it. It's like, I've heard this at the end of sometimes video games like anime but listen to the bass line. It's like doom, doom, doo doom, doo doom, doo doo doom, doom, doo doom, doo doom. And then we have this really cool wavy sort of sound with the synth and high soaring vocals. Let me listen to this bridge again because I wasn't even ready for it when it came in. That's one thing I remember working on the last song with Next Level is the changes that they created in the song were really, really interesting and kept attention. So let's see this again so I can really pay close attention to this. Here we go. So that's cool. Ooh. You hear the oohs? Ooh. Well, she's getting up there vocally. Wow. All right, so that bridge really does take it completely left field. And it just feels, I will be honest, it feels nice. It's one of those bridges that it makes it feel young again. Everything's really sweet in the world. So vocally also, she's taken to some really beautiful places. Her voice sounds great. The track sounds really cool in that section. And it's a mixture of almost, like I said, anime that I've heard before or things on a video game. But then we have these trap fills and keeping it interesting with this 80s throwback 90s sound. So very cool stuff. And then it goes into this next section. See, now we're in this interesting kind of EDM drop section with video game sounds. That vocal right there, it's almost like that's in key but out of key. So it's in key, but it's almost like it did a key change. It's wild. It's weird. I don't know if it's just me, but it feels like they're singing ad libs, and like I said, this could be just me. Like they're singing ad libs from the key that they're in the bridge, but some of these notes do fall in the key of the new Get Me Now" part, and it's almost like they're just putting them together in like a sandwich. And so we have notes that are kind of in key, but then they're kind of from the other one, or at least my brain's still stuck in the other one. And if they're doing this on purpose, then it's genius. Because basically, like taking the brain and pulling its sonic scales that it's accustomed to and expanding them in a very unique way. At least that's what it feels like in my brain.
What?
And it just ends on that. Haha, what? Okay. All right. So, Savage ends like that. All right. So that being said, this will be interesting. So my professional breakdown of this song, my professional opinion of this song, very interesting, very unique, similar to what happened in Next Level. There's several different changes that happen in this song that take it into a whole nother space. That ending and that bridge seems to me what makes it really distinct. The intro, the verse, the pre-chorus kind of remind me of other things I've heard before in K-pop, with the hip-hop rappy section into the melodic section for the pre-chorus, and into a chorus with a drop where they repeat something with a lyric or what we call non-lyrical part, like the zzzzow or something like that, right? I've heard those things before. Not saying that they're bad. It's part of music. We've all heard things that are similar before. But one thing I will say, the vocals are crazy, really, really good. The rapping is great. The timing, the inflections, all this stuff, they are excellent at. Now, I'd even mention the video. The video is wild. I probably will have to take time just to watch the video separate from analyzing the music, because they're both equally poignant and hit certain triggers visually, audibly, that make my brain have to take more time to deconstruct it, because it's almost like too much information that is hitting certain parts that make me go, ooh. So there's a thing I call the ooh factor. Ooh factor is when something's hitting adrenaline spikes and dopamine spikes where your brain just says, ooh, I like that, or ooh, that's interesting, or ooh, that sounds good. And there's so much ooh going on, I've taken time to really break it all down. But that being said, the title, I know it, Savage, they've repeated enough times. The track stood out to me. I think the production was super tight. So my professional opinion is this is a good track. I'll see how it does. It probably will do pretty well amongst their demographic. I would assume that most of their demographic would be into hip hop, pop, probably young men and women around the ages of 13 to 24. And I feel like this would probably do a song that does well there. But the thing about Aespa is that inside the videos are also where there's more information hidden. They always have a storyline or something that's embedded inside the actual video, which is why I think people want to rewatch what they're doing to find out more about the group, find more about the storyline. And I think that's what also makes Aespa very interesting, at least what I found to be interesting about watching their journey right now. So that being said, I hope you liked today's breakdown. If you'd like to see more of these breakdowns and more in-depth breakdowns, make sure you head over to our Patreon so you can see what's happening over there. And if you like this video, make sure you hit the subscribe button, make sure you hit the like button, and let us know what other videos you want to see me break down in more detail and more depth. That being said, hope you have a great day. Be good to yourself, be good to others, and I'll talk to you soon. Give me some of that power.